Welcome to Season 1, Episode 50 of Chriscast. My name's Chris Abraham, and this episode is about the scales coming off my eyes and realizing how different people's behavior is from what they say their behavior is, and how insidious and unnecessary it is, but how it is the result of a cascade of unintended consequences. So we will talk about this more after the break. I realized a lot further along in the podcast that I hadn't mentioned a premise of Season 1, Episode 50. My theorem, my theme of today is when you oppress a society, it has unintended consequences. When you oppress an economy, like in the Soviet economy or the Chinese economy, actually of the Soviet Union times, of the axis of evil days, the secondary effect is a strong black market, right? If you make drugs illegal, then the secondary effect is an illegal drug trade, right? If you make all people on the globe shelter in place, limit their access to the outside world, separate them from their families, and strongly discourage them from going out, meeting with people, exploring their world, having sex, having relationships, going to church, and celebrating the holidays with their friends and loved ones, the obvious secondary effect is a huge double, quadruple secret of hypocrisy that stems from the desire that people will do anything they want in direct contradiction with what you tell them. Ergo, an extreme black market of virtue signaling people who are completely doing exactly what they want, because there's no gulag or $10,000 fine for not following directions. I don't really think that there are roadblocks. I do not think that there are. I know that in Peru and Bolivia and so forth, there are roadblocks. There are police on the street giving out fines and imprisoning people. I know that that's the case in other countries around the world. That you get into real trouble if there's a separation between your virtue signaling public behavior on social media and what you're supposed to be doing, and the fact that you are having orgies with your friends at a key party. I dare say the more stringent, strict, and oppressive the restrictions on people's liberty and behavior, the more extreme their acting out will be. And it is safer to allow people a modicum of freedom and liberty to self-police and give them the chance to behave with decorum and discretion, rather than imposing upon them a strong muzzle, if you will, pre-PETA choke chain that the harder they struggle, the tighter it gets, because that has never resulted in compliance, especially in Americans. It has always resulted in a secondary effect of defiance. You can always define an oppression of Americans with extreme defiance, even during the time of AIDS. Even during the time of AIDS, when it was considered a death sentence, that death sentence was spurned by a subculture of people who were into barebacking and doing what the hell they want, with the concept of it's better to die young with a beautiful corpse or something like that. So be careful about imposing strong regulations, because, as I'll share in the next several segments, I just thought people do what they say they're going to do, right? I just assume that if you say on Facebook that you never leave your apartment and that it's really important that nobody else does, because this is life or death, and I've lost 1 million people, and everything sucks, and we're all going to die. And then I catch you going on holiday to the beach with your family and traveling and interacting and living your merry life happily, tra-la-la. I'm going to consider you a hypocrite. Not that I care; it doesn't matter to me. But it will cut out it will discredit you in my eyes, because I'll assume that you're full of shit. I mean, it won't make me love you less, but it'll make me feel like you're probably a lot more like Donald Trump than you say that you're not. I'm not going to say you're literally Hitler, but I'm not going to say you're not literally Hitler if you say that you're a good person. P.S. Never trust anybody who says I'm a good person. It's a red flag. I don't know why they don't teach that to bad people. Rule 1, bad person, never say you're a good person, because that's a red flag. Anyway, on to the show. This is the 50th episode. After this episode, it'll be season 2, episode 1. So listen to this crazy, crazy podcast. I hope you enjoy it. Mahalo nui loa. Happy holidays and Merry Happy New Year. Hey there, here's a bonus selection for people who don't listen right away, and for podcasting platforms that refresh content. I was listening to my podcast just to listen to whether or not I sound cohesive, smart, understandable, etc., when I didn't even address the cultural stresses of duplicity, of the double standard. I didn't remotely talk about the cultural pressure, right? I mean, I did mention AIDS and defying the strictures of that. Hey Google, what is the definition of stricture?
Here's the definition of stricture: a restriction on a person or activity.
Oh, good. I got it right. Anyway, but the cultural pressure, right? The pressure on a woman to get married and have kids, the pressure on a man to get married and provide, the pressure on a priest to serve God and remain celibate, the pressure upon I don't know, a school teacher to convey knowledge or to teach. I mean, there's just any number of things. Like a good Catholic girl needs to remain virginal until her marriage night. A man is not supposed to be bisexual, homosexual, or effete in any way. He's supposed to be manly and studly. And the double standard between the way a cisgender white father treats a son, go out there and get laid, versus his daughter, watch out for those boys, there's only one thing that they want. I mean, that's extremely consistent advice, but it's telling one to be a predator and training one to be a careful prey. So, I mean, there's a huge, just look at the cultural pressures of these things called norms and values, right? We keep on talking about Trump not following norms and values. Like, following norms and values is extremely important, and we're not even dealing with the norms and values of virtue and vice associated with being a puritanical nation, a nation that was born on Puritanism and on zealotry. Being if you were we're one of the only countries in the Western world that had restrictions on drinking. I forgot what it was called. Hey Google, what was it called when they didn't allow alcoholic beverages in America?
According to Wikipedia, prohibition in the United States was a nationwide constitutional ban on the production, importation, transportation, and sale of alcoholic beverages from 1920 to 1933.
So, for example, and we know for a fact that any kind of prohibition, whether it's on drugs, alcohol, premarital sex, any type of scofflaw, and including going to visit your friends on holidays, vacations, beach trips, spring break, Christmas, New Year's, etc. I mean, New Year's, everybody wants to get a kiss on New Year's. I dare say that the most flagrant, double standard, hypocritical defiance against the mores, the morals and dogma of a pandemic self-isolation is going to manifest when the clock starts ticking towards New Year's. Everybody's going to try to get their kiss, man. Everybody's going to try to get their kiss, no matter what they say, no matter how they report it. And that's not always going to be the sweet in your bubble girlfriend or boyfriend, the sweet in your bubble wife. It's going to be an attempt to find new love. It's a very romantic, primal desire in America. America doesn't call it hogmanay, but getting the kiss on New Year's is a very important thing. Much more important than making sure that you eat lentils or pickled herring or Limburger cheese. Like my mom used to say that Limburger cheese and German beer was the path to a lucky next year. I don't know if she ever had a lucky year, so I don't know necessarily if it works, but it's important to remember, that the oppression. I mean, this can be said about the queer community forever, right? I mean, the queer community, by virtue of homosexuality and same-sex love and trans love and non-cisgender, non-straight, other interpretations of love, of desire, of hunger, of lust, of self-identification, be it he, she, or they. All of these things, the more they're restricted, and the deeper you have to stuff them, the more they come out in unpredictable ways. The more they come out with desperate passions as opposed to gentle passions. The more they come out as lust and love. And so, in so many ways, all of these things, and people are going to say, each person is going to have their own concept of how how they personally define acceptable losses, right? This isn't the kind of thing where you get thrown in a re-education camp, or you get it's not even as oversight is not remotely as strict as is drunk driving. There's no checkpoints where people throw you in vans and then force quarantine you like they do in Israel. There is no if you will giant apartment blocks paid for by the state that are there to restrict the movement of people who've proved themselves irresponsible on their own, or people from outside the country or the city or the state, right? Travelers. So it is based on your own discipline and based on appeal that the fact that your community will shame you in much the same way that anybody who ever voted or even had anything but complete derision for our 45th president, in the same way that there's the derision for those people, you basically get canceled. Only the power of canceling is it strong enough? It's strong enough to make people say the right things. I posit it's definitely strong enough to make people say the right things, but is it strong enough to make people do the right things? I dare say, in a world where you can live out loud and you can be a pastor by day and a whoremonger by night, you can be Saint Peter by day and a John at night. You can be a teetotaler by day and a skirt chaser at night. It doesn't matter, right? I dare say that behaving right, I dare say that everybody who spends most of their time deriding Donald Trump is in fact trying to distance themselves from a heart that feels maybe akin to him, maybe feels too close, maybe feels a semblance of resonance with the man, and therefore one must act spectacularly exemplar. You must be an exemplar, a role model with a little chapeau, a role model, so as to throw people off your scent, to scare them away from the fact that you're actually not only a libertine but a blustery buffoon, a hubristic savage savant, a base person, even worse than basic, a base person, a primate, a Yahoo, if you will. Hey Google, can you define the meaning of the word Yahoo?
Here's the definition of Yahoo: informal, a rude, noisy, or violent person.
Hey Google, what are synonyms of Yahoo?
On the website thesaurus.com, they say Yahoo: barbarian, beast, boor, brute, lout, and roughneck.
Oh, beautiful word. Beautiful word. Hey Google, what is the source of the word Yahoo?
According to Wikipedia, the word Yahoo was coined by Jonathan Swift in the 4th section of Gulliver's Travels and has since entered the English language more broadly.
Swift describes Yahoos as filthy with unpleasant habits, a brute in human form, resembling human beings far too closely for the liking of protagonist Lemuel Gulliver. Oh, I love you, Jonathan Swift. Anyway, this was a bonus, and I'm going to I'm going to stick it between two other segments. So this will be a hodgepodge. And I will talk to you soon. Mahalo. Ciao. Welcome back. This is Season 1, Episode 50 of Chris Cast. It is 27 December 2020, and my name is Chris Abraham, and I am here just outside Washington, D.C. in sexy South Arlington, Virginia. And what I'm going to discuss today is hypocrisy, pure and simple. It's that what is it called? That scofflaw nature that people have, that Christians call maybe original sin, that drives people to say one thing and do another, to possibly great harm. Whether it's an intentional FU, or whether it is the secondary effect of placation or a desire to seem good, or even a bifurcation, a type of bifurcation I didn't know existed until I dated a girl named Wendy, and then I was able to see that that people, so many people, from people with 180 IQ all the way down to people with 80 IQ, feel like they can stuff different parts of their personality, and that they can expose different parts of their personality selectively and maintain those variations and facades in effective ways with scaffolding that holds up. So, for example, the vicar's daughter, the preacher's daughter, who is having sex with my buddy Mark in high school, right? And the fact that the vicar's daughter so desperately hates the fact that she's a vicar's daughter, that she is the most promiscuous girl in school, and yet can gladly every week be in public, gladly accepting the Word of God, and taking into her heart the Ten Commandments. Right? That's one example, and I know I'm being a dick to women, so I don't mean to do that. But the more relevant expose that's come to pass is the virtue signaling on Facebook is incessant. But I'm seeing all kinds of friends from 80 IQ up to 180 IQ who are on holiday, who are sending photos back from their beach vacations, who are en masse having get-togethers, and who are still yet posting publicly on Facebook and elsewhere about how it's important to respect the pandemic, to respect your isolation, to make sure that you stay inside, to make sure that you do not get together for the holidays, to make sure that you keep travel to a minimum, and to do your due diligence to try to abate and mitigate the spread of coronavirus, novel coronavirus, and COVID-19 across America. People do whatever the hell they want to, and then say what needs to be said, or what should be said, either to not be lambasted, to maintain public prestige, or do as I say, not as I do, which is to say, I can do it, but you can't. It is amazing to see the blatant disregard for public health. I mean, I don't think, I think most of the numbers are just variations on natural death patterns anyway. I mean, I personally do not think that this is it's not much more of a killer than a combination of an aging population, natural death statistics, the result of comorbidity, and things like that we don't like to talk about, such as MRSA and other hospital and healthcare associated infections. Right, a lot of those deaths happening from ventilators are happening primarily more because of HAIs than they are COVID-19. Anyway, and quality of care and panic and restrictions, and also people who have never gone to the hospital are now going to the hospital and being and having their issues addressed and written into a little book. But either way, whether or not this is a variation that is as much of a murderer as whatever the plague was in The Stand, or whether it's just a variation on coronavirus, the flu or the common cold or whatnot, it doesn't matter. It's the hypocrisy. And I don't know if you've seen a trend through my previous 49 rants, but I really don't like hypocrisy. It's almost impossible to predict based on hypocrisy. For example, dating someone, who... I've dated people who just who tell me what I want to hear, who commit to me in a relationship, and then when I find out that they've got an entirely other life, tell me that it's none of my business and that this is their privacy. Which is why, here's a hint. I don't have much regard for privacy. I don't have much regard for national security privacy. I don't have much regard for personal privacy. And even though I will defend your right to the death for you to protect your privacy, I don't have much regard for your privacy. If my wants and needs are being, if my spidey sense goes off because I feel like you are lying to me, I will find out what that lie is. With my vast intelligence, savvy, and resources. So it's good to know that about me. I won't ever, in any way, disrespect your privacy if we're just friends. You be you. But if I'm making oaths to you, I'm going to find out. I'm going to follow every spidey sense that I have, because I've got as an adult child of an alcoholic, I have an amazing spidey sense. But this concept of hypocrisy is very interesting to me. I'm going to take a break and then come back and continue this rant. I thought I'd give you a little bit of a breather. Welcome back. My name is Chris Abraham. This is Chris Cast episode 50, the last episode of season 1. I decided to go into season 2 after this because 50 is a good number. And I'm not going to make it based on 2021 because this podcast goes into 2019, I think, but just based on the number 50, right? So every 50 episodes will go into a new season. I'm going to call the next episode, season 2, episode 1, just to be confusing so that you don't know how many episodes there's been. Here's a hint. Season 2, episode 2 will be number 52. Season 3, episode 3 is going to be 63, and so on. Hope I got the math right, otherwise that would be silly. So the concept of hypocrisy, I mean, there's a lot of people saying a lot of shit about how terrible Trump is, right? I was just talking to Mark yesterday, my best friend Mark Harrison, and he was making fun of people who say things like, if you drive an SUV, you can't, you're a hypocrite if you drive an SUV and then want to want to stop the nukes or stop fracking or not dump toxic waste into a landfill. And then I told him none of those three things have anything to do with climate change. Stop conflating climate change and just pollution mitigation, which I support strongly. We'll go into my concept of climate change in another episode because it's super controversial. Anyway, hypocrisy. So I feel like there are so many things, so many human things, so many just base human, normal, like, I think the thing that people hated the most about Donald J. Trump is the fact that he didn't do a good enough job of bifurcating his public persona, which is supposed to be outwardly, stately, respectable, honorable, handsome, well put together, with his more basic natures, which are bald-faced ambition and desire for power and desire for control and vainglorious nature, hubristic nature. I feel like it's all okay to be these things, but the culture almost demands that you cultivate a respectable outward appearance so as to be perceived as the adult in the room. And the Trump fatal flaw was that Trump has no interest in remotely being bifurcated. He does not stuff anything. I mean, every coping mechanism that people tease him about, he does in plain sight without any shame. In fact, the guy is truly shameless, right? The guy is fat, and yet publicly eats hamburgers and big buckets of chicken, right? I'm fat, but if you look at my Instagram, all you'll see is stir-fried kale and vegetable medleys and compotes. The guy lies, but he doesn't secretly lie. He's bombastic and boisterous and belligerent and boastful. He's all the bees, and yet that's who he is, man. You don't have to look into his dark side. You don't even have to try to expose a dark side. I guarantee you. I mean, even his porn star blowjobs are of public record. And does he care that you know about his porn star blowjobs? I don't think he cares. Whereas, and that's another thing. In Spycraft, I have a bad spy novel, but I go into all this stuff on my bad spy novel known as Hillmole.com, HILLMOLE.com. And one of the things that there's a bunch of ways that you can get a person to be a traitor on their government. And, one of those ways, I mean, obviously people have different impetuses. They have different motivations for betraying their government. One of which is money, right? Money is a big one. But another one has a lot to do also with ego. You can leverage a person's ego, and you can make them feel like they're something on a stick, that they've been chosen to do something great. You can appeal to their patriotism, to their ego. You can also appeal to their boredom, right? If they have a métro boulot dodo kind of sleep commute work kind of daily rote life, or if they had a more interesting life and are getting a little older and feel like their life is not very interesting, you can appeal to the excitement, to the jazz hands associated with being a spy or an operator. And then you can just plain downright leverage them based on their secret sins. You can extort them based on their perversions, on their other life, on their hypocrisies, on their shadow life, on their secret lovers. You can extort them on their illegal dealings. You can extort them on their fetishes, on their penchant for prostitutes, or their DL love that have no name, their same-sex secret life, their various and sundry things. I mean, extortion is actually one of the biggest leverages of most secret societies. Like, I'm not talking Masons. Masons, I'm a 32-degree Mason. I only had to do vows. Up till now, nobody's ever come to me and been like, we got this dirt on you, now you got to go do something terrible. But, you've seen any number of movies about the only time a gang or a secret society can start to trust you is if you've done something terrible that they can prove and hold against you. Whether that's familial or in the world of a gang, that could quite be, the murder of someone. I feel like, that Trump is amazingly slippery because he doesn't have this secret life, right? His secret life has been on full display. I mean, of course, you have his subconscious life, and he never comes out and says, I have daddy issues, or I am insecure and acting out, but I don't think he has like clear understanding of those things either. I'm more talking about the people who have been filling airplanes for Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's, and going places and hanging out with their families, and not mentioning that thing on social media because every other day of the year they're talking about how everybody else should be acting, and yet would heaven forbid never allow any of these things to come interfere with family plans, with plans with friends and so forth. I mean, it's writ large with regards to all that fun and happiness that happened with the NBA, right? How you can get yourself a rich man with great prowess and sexual desirability, you're not going to keep the lady fans away. You're not going to keep the lady fans away from rock stars either, right? No matter what the threat, the base desires, the overriding interests of the Freudian id is just too powerful for the poor superego to moderate, to mitigate, to subjugate is the better word. Anyway, come back after the note. Talk to you soon. Yay! Welcome back to Season 1, Episode 50 of Chris Cast. That bell, if you can hear it, is to tell me to swing kettlebells. But I will ignore it until this episode is over, which I'm going to get closing to it soon. I, Chris Abraham, aspire not to be bifurcated. Sadly, one of my flaws is I aspire the people who are closest to me not to be bifurcated at all, but that's, when I'm thinking about that, I will look this up. Hey, Google, what are the words to the Serenity Prayer?
Here's a summary from the website en.wikipedia.org. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can. Father, give us courage to change what must be altered, serenity to accept what cannot be helped, and the insight to know the one from the other.
Well, they kind of botched that one up. It is, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. So, I have the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. So, no matter how close you are to me, I need to meet you where you want to meet me, and it's not my job to out your stuffed leg full of diabolical, hypocritical oaths. The secret fetishes that you desire not to reveal to me. Where all the bodies are buried, if you will, in your. By the time you engage with me, your life probably has had 30, 40, 50, 60, or 70 years in it. So, beep, 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 beep. It's none of my business. You tell me what you need to tell me, and I'll meet you right in the middle. Hopefully I earn your trust, and you get to the point where you share this with me. I'm not going to walk around as though on eggshells. Hell, I've got some of my closest friends are spies, spooks, and analysts, whatever those are, and I know they have an entire world of classified things I'll never know about that. But at least I know that about them. Like, the worst kind of hypocrite in my world is the kind that doesn't even tell me that they have a secret world that they're just not interested in revealing to me. The virtue signaling type, which is why the entire 4 years, I'll add another year, the entire 5 years of Trump's participation in the world made me think about that amazing saying. I forgot what the saying is, but it's basically a Dutch saying that Adam Curry always uses, which is to say, whatever bothers you has probably a lot to do with you, or what you hate in me is in you, or you're basically, the word is, a lot of people believe that all of the Trump derangement syndrome that people have been exhibiting against Donald J. Trump has been projection, right? All the things that they hate most about themselves, all the things that would make them shamed if it were revealed to them in a PowerPoint on a TED Talk, if someone were to reveal these things in a giant projection behind them while they were getting married, or during a if this were to be something leaked in a kind of emotional fappening, or if it were to be leaked on WikiLeaks or on TMZ. These are the kinds of things that people would commit suicide over. This is the kind of apoplectic, deep shame space that so many people have, that they were all projecting on Trump, which is to say, oh my God, Trump, you are as embarrassing to me as the embarrassing part of myself, and you are embarrassing me in a way that my embarrassing uncle, or the person who abused me, or the person who embarrassed me, or the person who shamed me, or the person who bullied me, or even oh my God, you were the most embarrassing thing to my country, to my citizenship, to my identity as an American. You represent a humiliation to my entire self-identity and everything I pledged to when I was a young child pledging allegiance. And that's all projection. That's nothing to do with Donald Trump. It's a projection when you call him Hitler. It's, yes, he's a little bit Mussolini, but, and if you're willing to accuse him of killing 400 million people because of a global pandemic, when America's based on counties and states and not so much federally based, when all y'all got this hypocrisy where you say you're doing one thing and you're doing another. I mean, in many cases, I believe that the people who say that they're sheltering in place are being as bad as the stupids, your people with 80 to 100 IQ, who are just openly going around and partying in Ocean City and partying down on spring break and Cabo or wherever. I mean, the hypocrisy is writ large, right? With hey Google, who's the governor of California?
Gavin Newsom is the governor of California.
Yeah, the perfect, my if you will, idealism, like the perfect idealistic, what is it? Source, the source of the shadows. Plato's ideal form of the hypocrite is Gavin Newsom, right? Gavin Newsom is and hey Google, who's the governor of New York?
Andrew Cuomo is the governor of New York State.
And Andrew Cuomo is the second ideal form of the hypocrite in America, right? I know Gavin Newsom, right, with his party of 12 at the French Laundry. I mean, is that not the most let them eat cake? Or was it that he went to Cabo San Lucas? Who went to Cabo San Lucas on holiday via a private plane, right? And Andrew Cuomo, I don't know if he's been discovered for great hypocrisies yet, but I guarantee you, it's a let them eat cake. It's a do what I say, not what I do. Like, I would be more appalled by the people who don't show you who they are until they show you who they are by going to the French Laundry with 12 other people without any masks. The most. Hey Google, how much does the French Laundry cost per person?
On the website sf.eta.com, they say, share all sharing options for French Laundry launches $850 per person indoor dining experience, fit for a Bond villain.
So, so it's about $850. You can get away with by $300. $350 per person. But now during coronavirus, it's $850 per person. And think about that, right? That is a 2, 3, 4-tiered system. That's the belief that, and I think what drives people crazy is, I know this for a fact. I have this thing called aphantasia, and it means, as an aphant with aphantasia, I do not have a mind's eye. I do not have the ability to visualize, using imagination. When I close my eyes, I just see black. I don't see images. I can't do AR or VR in my head. I can't pop up flashcards in my head or anything like that. Never been able to. Thought everybody else... I knew one person who could, but I thought she was very unique, and in fact, she wasn't very unique. So, as part of that, if I'm going to check out a girl on the street as a young man, I could only enjoy her beauty for as long as I looked at her. And then there was one day we were at the bar with 4 of my friends who were in what I called my posse back in 2004, 2005, 2006. And we were at a bar on a beautiful spring day, and there was a super beautiful girl at a table with her boyfriend or husband, and I was staring at her, and my buddies are like, dude, stop staring, just glance. And only now do I realize that they could get an eyeful and then quickly look away and then enjoy looking at her in their photograph of her, of their mind's eye. I've never been able to. And I believe that the thing that was unbearable about Trump with regards to the hypocrisy is, dude, you got to be discreet. You got to be discreet. And I think that the one cardinal rule that Trump didn't do is that he doesn't have a discreet bone in his body. I mean, Trump signs everywhere in gold. Gold-lined everything. I mean, I tell you, man, black marble or whatever the color, let's just call it black marble and gold fittings, like, or even white marble and gold fittings for a bathroom is the most gauche, the most gaudy, the most decadent, appalling, czarist. I don't really believe that the Russians had any leverage at all over Trump, except with regards to the aesthetics of Russian oligarchs, and Donald Trump have a lot of Venn diagram crossover. I mean, it airs for Louis XIV opulence, Louis XVI opulence, the kind of oh, hey Google, what is the castle just outside of Paris?
Sorry, I don't know how to help with that. Here are other things
Google,
you can try.
What is the castle just outside Paris, France?
Here's a summary from the website historiceuropeancastles.com.
All right. The Versailles Palace of Versailles is the kind of opulence that Trump prefers. And the same thing with Russian oligarchs. And I dare say, I think Putin is more the kind of guy who likes, what's the amazing architecture that I love in brutalism. I bet you Putin is more of a brutalist. But other than that, opulence city. And that's another thing, right? The nouveau riche gaucheness, the everything in gold gaucheness, I mean, in my world, everything would be directed, everything would be minimalist, brutalist, or mid-century modern. That aesthetic appeals to me to no end. But tchotchke is I believe Yiddish for Trump. Anyway, back to hypocrisy. I've really lost my train, but this is episode 50, and so I dare say I'm going to indulge a little bit. Anyway, let's take a break, and I'll start with the closing. I don't know if I have any final words. It's just that I believe that there is a huge rift between what people say and what people do, and that it's even quite tittillating to say something and do something else, to know that you've gotten away with things. Like I dare say that most people's fetishes, most people's dark innermost has to do exactly with the thing that they publicly profess to not doing, right? I mean, nobody wants to talk about rape fantasies, right? That's appalling. Rape is the worst thing in the world. And yet, being taken by force is by someone you trust is a top 10 sexual fantasy for men and women, depending on your proclivities. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? That doesn't mean you desire to be raped in the street or by on a first date or any date. Consensualism is important and that sort of thing, but people act out in so many ways, and the more you oppress them, the more you make them be limited to a type of behavior that they're allowed to do. That bubbles up somewhere else, and I think that might be my theorem. That might be my point of departure. So I'm going to stop now, and I'm going to do a segment to start this whole thing with a premise, and that premise is the direct reaction of having this shutdown is that if you push down on one part of society, it'll bubble up in another place. So let me go do that. And then what you're going to experience is a break and then closing words. Thanks, loves. Bye-bye. Welcome back. My name's Chris Abraham. This is Season 1, Episode 50 of Chris Cast. This is where I close the show. Thank you so much for being here. Please subscribe and share and comment and write reviews and give stars, and maybe go to Apple Podcast and write a proper review. I think there's only one, and that's me. And you can reach me at the following places. Zing! At Chris Abraham on Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube, on Instagram, on Tumblr. And I am and on LinkedIn. I'm Chris Abraham on LinkedIn. LinkedIn.com/in/Chris Abraham. YouTube.com/Chris Abraham, Facebook.com/Chris Abraham. You can email me at chris@abraham.su. You can find my HQ at chrisabraham.com or abraham.su. SU is a top-level domain for the former Soviet Union. You can still get domains there. I always wanted a chris@abraham.top-level domain email address. I envied all my friends who had them. However, Abraham is a prophet for 3 entire world religions, so that wasn't going to happen. So I had to go back and register a domain at a godless nation using a top-level domain that nobody ever uses, which is Soviet Union's top-level domain. So I own abraham.su. Very proud of it. Anyway, I'm at Chris on No Agenda Social, and I've got to go because I have Sunday Mass in 2 minutes. Thank you, and it's so great to have you here, and I'll talk to you soon. Love you. Bye-bye.
Oh, thank you.